Everything you see now will end. Not just the Earth, not just the Sun, not just the galaxy, but the entire universe, every galaxy, every star, every atom, and even time itself. But what's most terrifying isn't that the universe will end, it's that scientists disagree on how it will happen. Because each of these scenarios is based on entirely different laws of physics, and each one represents a different end to existence itself. Today, we'll look at 7 scenarios ranked by scientists from least to most terrifying. But here's the most terrifying question. Which one is most likely our true fate? What do we know for sure? Since the moment the universe was born 13.8 billion years ago, it has been expanding relentlessly. Initially, scientists thought this expansion would gradually slow down and eventually end. But the discoveries of 1998 definitively overturned this hypothesis. The universe isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Something mysterious, which we call dark energy, is pushing everything away from everything else, and it's doing so at an ever-increasing rate. This acceleration alone opens up these 7 scenarios. Scenario 1. Heat death, the silent end. This scenario is the most widely accepted by most cosmologists today. Imagine the universe not as a machine exploding, but as an ember cooling inexplicably. In 100 trillion years, a number the mind struggles to comprehend, all the stars will have run out of fuel. Trillions of stars will be extinguished one by one, and the universe will be plunged into near total darkness. But the story doesn't end there. Black holes will persist for 10 to the power of 100 years, swallowing up what remains. Then they, in turn, will slowly evaporate through what's called Hawking radiation, a very weak but inevitable wave of radiation, until the black holes themselves disappear. What will remain is an absolute void scattered with rare particles, without order, without information, without heat.
Physicists call this state maximum entropy, when everything reaches a state of perfect equilibrium, where nothing can happen anymore. The universe won't explode, it will simply stop happening. Is the problem with this scenario that it's too cold to scare us? Maybe, but the next scenario is completely different. Scenario 2, the Big Rip. Dark energy goes crazy. If dark energy is constant, we'll face heat death. But what if it's increasing? This is the scenario known as the Big Rip. If dark energy increases enough, its repulsive effect will, at some point, surpass gravity, then nuclear forces, and even the forces that hold atoms together. 200 million years before the end, our galaxy will disintegrate. 3 months before the end, Earth will be torn apart from within. 1 minute before, all the stars will explode. 10 to the power of minus 19 seconds before, the atoms themselves will disintegrate. Nothing will survive. No structure, no particles, no distance. Everything we know would be literally torn apart from within. But here's the most terrifying question. If the atoms themselves were to be ripped apart, would there be a moment after? Or would time itself end with them? Scenario 3, the Big Crash, when the universe collapses in. Onward. What if dark energy isn't enough to continue expanding forever? Some cosmological models predict that gravity will eventually win, Expansion will slow down, stop, and then reverse. Galaxies will begin to pull closer instead of further apart, accelerating toward each other like objects falling toward an immense gravitational force. In the final stages, galaxies will merge, stars will collide, and the entire universe will heat up to levels no structure can withstand. In the final moment, everything will return to a single point, smaller than an atom, denser than any physical law we know can describe. It's the Big Bang in reverse. Scenario 4, the Big Bounce. The universe that doesn't die, it's reborn. And here we go further. What if the collapse isn't an end, but a new beginning? Some theoretical physicists suggest that the moment the universe reaches its point of complete collapse might inevitably trigger a new Big Bang. The universe doesn't die, it bounces, breathes, expands, and collapses in a cycle with no beginning and no end. We might be just one chapter in a book with countless chapters. The Big Bang that created us isn't the ultimate starting point. It might simply be the final bounce of a universe that existed before us. This possibility is both beautiful and terrifying, because it means that nothing is created and nothing is destroyed, but everything transforms into something else forever. Scenario 5, the collapse of the vacuum point. The most terrifying. Now we come to the scenario that worries physicists the most, not because it's the most likely, but because it's the most absolute. Our understanding of the vacuum in modern physics is quite different from the intuitive understanding of it. The vacuum isn't nothingness, it's a quantum field in a specific energy state. The problem is that theoretical physics suggests this state might not be the most stable. If the vacuum we inhabit lies within an energy hole that isn't the deepest one, then the universe is in a quasi-steady state. At any moment, at any random point, this state could transition to a more stable one. This transition would create a bubble expanding at the speed of light, altering all the laws of physics within it. No warning, no signal. The new universe inside the bubble wouldn't allow for atoms as we know them, stars, or life. And it expands at the speed of light, meaning you wouldn't see it coming. But here's the most terrifying question. If the laws of physics themselves change, can we even imagine what happens next? Scenario 6, proton decay, the slow atomic death. Even if the universe survives all the previous scenarios, there's a limit to the lifespan of matter itself. Several physical theories, though not yet experimentally confirmed, predict that the proton itself is unstable in the long run. After approximately 10 to the power of 34 years, the proton begins to decay spontaneously into lighter particles and radiant energy. If this is true, then everything made of matter, stars, planets, the human body, will slowly and imperceptibly disintegrate over a timescale beyond human comprehension. Matter will not be destroyed by an external force, it will decompose from within. Scenario 7. The universe's phase transition, a reset of existence. This final scenario is the least understood and the most enigmatic. Some advanced theoretical calculations suggest that the entire universe might undergo a phase transition, something akin to water turning into steam, but on a scale of existence itself. In this transition, nothing is destroyed in the familiar sense. Rather, all the laws of nature are reprogrammed. Physical constants, the mass of the electron, the speed of light, the strength of gravity, could all change their values in a single instant. But a single instant here means something beyond our comprehension, because time itself will become something different in the new universe. We cannot even know if there will be a place for the concept of us in the new universe. Philosophical conclusion. 7 scenarios, 7 ways in which everything could be said goodbye. The most scientifically probable is heat death, a quiet, cold, and uneventful end. The most philosophically terrifying is the collapse of the void point, because it gives no warning and no announcement. But what truly preoccupies me isn't which will happen. What preoccupies me is this strange truth. The universe itself doesn't know how it will end. The laws that govern it keep several possibilities open simultaneously, as if it's still deciding. We dream of survival. We build civilizations. We gaze at the sky with restless curiosity, while we live on a planet orbiting a burning star, in a galaxy moving toward a destiny unknown even to the universe itself. And perhaps that alone is enough. To live in a universe that doesn't know how it will end, and yet to ask questions. Thank you for not seeing the sky as mere points of light, but as questions waiting for someone to dare to ask them.